happens. If you have not followed his Triple H Horse Racing podcast, you're missing out. It's one of the best podcasts in the country.
Good evening and welcome to episode 378 of Picks and Ponies right here in the HHH Racing Podcast. I'm your proud host, Howard Kravitz. Thank you very much for joining us tonight as we'll be discussing Keeneland's late Pick 5 this Saturday, featuring the best turf 3-year-old filly race in the country every year. It's the QE2. It's the Queen Elizabeth II Invitational Stakes, along with some other really nice races in the late Pick 5 as well. Please make sure you hit that subscribe button on the bottom right-hand side of the screen. Hit the notification bell at the top right on YouTube so you know when new content will arise. And smash that like button below the video player. That'll bring like-minded people, as my friend Kyle Roscoe says, and sends the YouTube algorithm to our show. So please hit that like button as well. You can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor. Tip sheet. We're going to have very important tip sheet information coming up starting next week with the Breeders' Cup coming up. But before we talk about our Breeders' Cup only Power Picks tip sheet, we still have our regular Power Picks tip sheet that is available and is still rocking it out with scores galore. So please check it out. The ROI is very good. We continue to do well there. You can go to our fantastic website, also hhhracingpodcast.com, with more intel on our Power Picks and everything that is HHH Racing Podcast. All right, that takes care of a few particulars. So without further ado, let me bring in some excellent co-hosts tonight. Paul Halloran is banting about in Keeneland. I believe he's at dinner as we speak here at 7:30 Eastern on Thursday night. He might be popping in. I believe he's celebrating this evening with the Dormans. It was Make-A-Wish Day, sort of an anniversary of several years ago when Cody Dorman was celebrated his Make-A-Wish Day, and sort of the whole Cody's Wish story began. But I believe Kylie Dorman, his wonderful sister, it's her birthday. So I believe it's today, actually. So anyway, Paul's with the Dormans. He might be popping in. But we have an excellent replacement for him. Before we get to our replacement for Paul, let's go to our trusty man from the East Coast of Maryland, Mr. Pete Visco. And we shouldn't call him Paul's replacement. That seems a bit disrespectful. He is the newest member of the HHH Racing Podcast. He's already done a great job on our Pacific Horse Players. He's got his own podcast as well on YouTube, and he's volunteered to come on tonight to help Pete and I discuss Keeneland on Saturday. It is Ryan Anderson. Ryan and Pete, how are we doing tonight?
What's up, guys? What's up, Ryan? Nice to meet you on camera finally.
Yeah, right. How's it going, Pete? I'm doing well.
I mean,
you're
bringing a little too much hair to our show. We don't have a lot of hair on this show, so you're making us look bad already. Yeah, it's all right. It's all right.
As one of my wonderful fans emailed me and said, when Ryan had JK on, I wasn't sure which one was which. Well, we can figure it out, Ryan. I mean, you guys don't look that alike. And JK used to have it even a little higher than you had it, actually, by the way.
Yeah, no, his hair goes crazy for sure. And that was one of the first conversations we had, because when I first got into racing, I was wearing fun button-up shirts. I had dreads, actually, at the time.
Wow.
But, yeah, I shaved those off before I started interning at Del Mar, because I think it was just a bit of a better look with the people I was going to be around. But that was the first conversation I had was, hey, I was wearing these button-up shirts, and I've had this hair since before I knew you existed, so we just happen to have similar.
So you're basically saying he's sort of biting your style, as we used to say back in the day. So yeah,
exactly.
Okay.
There you go. Yeah, you get it.
Right.
And we got a lot of people. Terry Frank from St. Louis is here. Good evening. How are you doing, Terry? Trish Smith is here. Trish, Keeneland time of year. Trish, I believe, still lives in Lexington. So Trish, hello. We should have got in touch with each other before I was there at Keeneland last week. Didn't have a chance to do that. Sorry, Trish. Paul Conlon is here. Let's get a shout out for Purse Thief this weekend. Purse Thief is a Crownsway racing horse, but he's on the AE list, Paul. So unless actually I didn't look at Sunday yet. Maybe he's on the main body of the field for a Sunday race. But I think I saw him in an also eligible spot somewhere. So I'm not sure he's going to be running. I'll have to get some more information from Tony Rollo on that one. We got Ralph Conte's here. We got a lot of people here. Guys, big day on Saturday. Not quite as big as last Saturday. One of the reasons there's a big contest going on. Matt Miller is there. Brad Anderson is there. Kyle is there with Emma, his wonderful new wife. Let's see. Noah, of course, is there because he's always there. We got a lot of people involved in the big contest at Keeneland. I will not be playing it. There's one tomorrow, Friday, which you have to be in person. One Saturday, it's a pretty big one, but I was, like I've talked about a few times, I had a pretty good success at the last one, and I'm keeping my powder dry, Pete, so to speak, for a possible second entry in the BCBC, which is a lofty 10 grand. And, money don't grow on trees these days.
I mean, you got cash. Don't worry about it. I know you got. That's probably under your couch cushion. 10 grand. That's all right.
I don't know about that, but Ron, have you started, just real quick before we get into the racing here?
Yeah.
Have you played any live money contests? Is that something you'd like to get into, or $2 mythicals? You're just you want to stay away from the contest world?
No. I've dabbled in it a little bit. I play the the Horse Players Happy Hour on Thursdays. I played that pretty much for the majority of the summer at Del Mar because it was my home track. So that's obviously where I feel best. And I'll dabble in it a little bit at Keeneland, but next year I'll probably gear up more into the contest of it. Right now I love hammering the pick fives and I love doing all that. And you have to adjust your play a little bit when you go into contests because it's a total different way to play. So I'll make that adjustment, but right now I leave that to my co-host on the other channel, Jackson, because he's out in Keeneland right now for that contest. He's got 2 entries for the big one.
Oh, nice. Wow. Yeah. Totally different mentality for sure. Guys, let's get into late pick five on Saturday. I thought this was very interesting, and Pete knows this more than Ryan, but I'm very happy to take favorites when I think they're logical, and I'll single them and whatever. I'm going very skinny, guys, and in this late pick five in general. And for details, look into our Power Picks tip sheet. Of course, we also have a Keeneland only Power Picks tip sheet that is not available anymore. But looking through the late pick five, guys, I just felt like there's some races that I didn't need to spread very much. I don't know how you guys feel, but we are gonna get into it. That doesn't mean you can't make money, and that doesn't mean it's boring by any means. I just felt the need to sort of take some stand. So let's see what Pete and Ryan feel, and also Paul might be jumping in as well. We shall see. Let me go ahead and take some things off the screen, and we'll get ready. The first race of the late pick five is right here. Boom. There it is. It starts in race 6. It's an allowance optional claim for $100,000. If you want to buy a horse, Pete Visco, underneath your cushion, you got some 100K somewhere, right, to buy a horse?
Yeah, I got it. Yeah. I don't know if I want to buy anybody out of this race. I didn't like anybody in this race particularly, but
all right.
Yeah, we'll see if we can. I'll break some of Jackson's piggy banks. We'll see what we come up with.
All right. You collect enough pennies, you never know.
Yeah.
Let me go ahead to our picks as well, which I'm going to bring up at the bottom of the screen right there. Anyway, it's a 6.5 furlongs, $130,000 is the purse. Wow. Very high level allowance race, obviously. There's a field of 8, pretty big morning line favorite, the number 4, Giant Mischief, coming off a big layoff, though, for Cox and Gaffleone. Scrolling on the bottom of the screen are our picks, but I will read them off for our audio listeners. I'm going 4-3-6. Pete is going 2-4-3, and Ryan is going 4-6-1. Pete, you are the anomaly here. You're going with a 6-1 shot, Bourbon Heist, who is eligible for that $100,000 claim. Nice way to start the sequence if you can get it for Ian Wilkes and a guy named Irad. Pete, what do you like about Bourbon Heist to upset Giant Mischief here?
Yeah, it's never bad having Irad on your ticket every once in a while.
No.
Well, this is the kind of race when you have a 6-5 morning line favorite who hasn't run in a while. You figure that's a good time to maybe take a chance against them. So if you could see maybe the horse is a little rusty, and it's not like Giant Mischief is some dominant horse who was just winning left and right last year. So I don't look at that horse as unbeatable. So I figure coming back, there's a couple things I like that I think that allows us to get maybe the 6-1. Obviously, the last race on the sheet looks terrible, so people don't like that. They see that, but that was on the turf. This horse has 2 races on the turf. They were both garbage, so for the most part. So I figure that he just doesn't like the turf. He shouldn't be on it. don't waste his time anymore. 2 back, I think he may the 2 races, 2 and 3 back, maybe just was a little bit outclassed. You go 4 back at Keeneland, optional claiming 100K with IRAD and with Lasix. He pops a 96 buyer. He wins pretty convincingly. He was bet down, but he's still at 7 furlongs, but won convincingly, ran his best race. And I think this is maybe just a level that he fits at. When he's down at this level or at the lower levels outside of stakes, he just seems to run better. And again, you're picking up Irad back. You have a favorite that's a little soft. He likes Keeneland. You see he's 3 for 3 in the top 2 wins. So there's a lot to like. I think he just has a little bit of a muddy form. And that's, I think, why we're getting the 6-1 price.
You bring us some excellent points, and I do certainly like the Keeneland record. There's nothing to argue about it there. That win that he had in April was a smallish field. Do you think this field is better than that one, or you don't really care if it's better or not?
I mean, this one's probably better, but I don't think it's so much better that I'm too concerned about it. I just don't think it's a great field, and I think you have a soft enough favorite who's going to take a ton of money, where I think if you're going to start off a pick 5 with a price, if you could do it, it's great. And it's not like I would single this horse or anything. I just think you're getting a decent price on a horse that I think fits at this level, likes the track, and you're picking up, you're getting a jockey upgrade from who he's had in the last couple.
Yeah, I think you're bringing some good points, and if this one gets home for Pete, that is going to absolutely blow up the sequence early. Because, Ryan, you got to think a lot of people are going to single the number 4 here, Giant Mischief. That's where I'm going also. I know it's a bit of Captain Obvious, and he's off a layoff and blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to speak for you on, why I like this horse. I'll just let you talk first. 6-5 morning line. I think that's probably about right based on what he's done in his previous running lines.
Yeah, I completely agree. This is just kind of the classiest horse in this field. They all kind of have the same or very similar running styles where they like to come from just off the pace. This horse may be a little farther back, but I think this horse is going to be fresh, going to be sharp coming off that long layoff since the Grade 1 Malibu. As we're looking at the time form pace projector, we have the 4 kind of sitting just off the lead on the inside, I guess, which that would be a perfectly fine trip, I think, for this horse. I think Giant Mischief's going to be ready for this spot. And yeah, it wasn't too creative having this horse on top. I do like Pete's pick of the number 2. I had that horse 4th on my picks here.
Ryan, I don't know, by the way, I don't want to interrupt. I don't know if you're by your mic, but your mic is pretty hot. I hear it, and I'm assuming that's you. I doubt it's Pete. So I hear a lot of people touching a mic background, so I don't know, want to be careful with, or maybe it's not you. I don't know, but I do hear something weird. So someone's moving. Do you hear that, Pete? Someone's moving.
I hear it too.
Yeah. No, I
do, but I don't think that's a mic thing. It almost sounds like there's a machine running somewhere in the background.
Oh, my hearing sucks, so it could be
my hearing
else.
is awful. So yeah, Ryan's the only one with good. He's the only young one with good hearing on this show.
Well,
so
anyway.
Who the hell knows what we're probably just me and you being old and senile at this point. I'm thinking.
I'm like, oh, I hear. All right, anyway, we'll just move on. Maybe it's nothing. I don't know. Giant Mischief, Ryan. I agree with everything you said. I mean, this horse. I remember. I don't know if you recall the Malibu guys when Speedwell Beach won. Ryan, I remember thinking Giant Mischief is actually interesting in a price in that race. Mm-hmm. I'll tell you what, he ran very well. I mean, he finished 3rd to very in the Grade 1. He was just rounding back into form. Obviously, he's had some issues, right? When he was a 2-year-old, he ran 3 times. Then he ran February of his 3-year-old year and ran the Rebel for goodness sakes and wasn't embarrassed. And then was just off the Derby trail completely. Didn't run until September and then didn't run until November. And now he's, got a layoff. So I do agree with Pete in this sense, Ryan, that today is probably the day to beat Giant Mischief. But I just feel like he's been working very well. He's got Tyler G on him. If this horse can run at all, I just didn't find a lot of interesting horses in this field, Ryan, to beat. I really wanted to pick someone else. I just couldn't do it. I have the 3 and 2nd Bromley, who ran a really nice number last time. But I don't know if he can repeat that. That's a big number that he got that would fit actually with Giant Mischief. I don't know if he can repeat that. And Ryan, you've got the 6 second. Pete's got the 4 second. He's got the 3 Bromley 3rd. So, Ryan, you took a look at Lofty Adjudicator a little bit. Why don't you talk a little bit about this horse. I'll let Pete talk about Bromley. We'll move on.
Yeah, Lofty Adjudicator. I mean, we mentioned there's not many shots to beat this horse. In terms of Giant Mischief, I'm speaking of, just didn't draw the strongest field, but I thought maybe this horse, Lofty Adjudicator, could maybe just send to the front under Loveberry. Is 2 for 2 when has had the lead at the second point of call. So clearly knows how to win on the lead. The buyers were a little light with an 81 and an 84, and that was at lower tracks, both at Belterra. But has 4 runs over the Keeneland track. The last 2, I mean, he needs to step up from the 88 in order to really compete here. But I mean, yeah, this was kind of my one shot, was just pick a horse on the lead and hope that maybe Giant Mischief is, just kind of going to be rounding into shape. Maybe just doesn't have his best and wouldn't be able to close the gap.
Yeah, I thought this horse was a little interesting also. It's the best, very good outside speed. Loveberry can be aggressive. Pete, I mentioned Bromley. You like him more underneath, or you give him a legitimate chance to win this race?
Mostly more underneath, but I mean, I think the horse can win the race. I think it's still a 4-year-old, still only has 10 races, so there can be improvement. That was the one thing, Ryan, against the 6 that you liked, was as a 7-year-old, you figure there's usually not a ton of improvement, so he may just be what he is, even though he looks to be in fantastic form. So that was my only concern, because I was doing the same thing you were doing. Like, is there a nice long shot that could maybe jump up? Bromley, I think, still has a chance to improve. Now we're getting second off the layoff, which maybe could mean another improvement. Lost to Extra Anejo the last time, was a nice horse. I think it's a shot. I mean, I would definitely lean more 2-4 as sort of like on the A level, and maybe Bromley is sort of a B.
Yeah, to me, it's either Giant Mischief or it could be a lot. That's sort of my general logic here. New person in the chat, James. Arcians 24. I don't know. I'll have to read that carefully again. Horsey time. Thanks, James. Thanks for joining the show. Especially if you're new. I believe you are new to the chat at least. So appreciate it. Always looking forward to our new listeners and viewers. Let's get on to the next race, guys. Race 7, main special weight. Now, obviously, and Pete, we talk about this a lot. And Ryan, I'm sure you're very well aware of this. And it's really important for younger handicappers and inexperienced handicappers, and not saying you're one of those, but just people that watch the show in general. When you have a main special weight, guys, with some serious potential firsters in the second leg, Pete, absolutely crucial to look at the probable will pay doubles, because people always complain that aren't familiar with horse racing much. I don't know what the odds are in the next race, and I see a bunch of horses with no running lines, and what do I do? The board can tell a lot. It's not always a given, but it does give you some big clues going into this race we're about to talk about.
Yeah, for sure. And there's usually a couple horses you have in mind that you look at and say, if this horse takes money or if this horse is cold on the board, it'll sort of sway a decision one way or the other. So that's definitely something to contemplate here.
No doubt about it. This is for 2-year-olds.
By the way, no pun intended. That was a complete accident.
Yeah, number 2.
That was actually a complete accident. Yes. Sure was. I'm not that witty, so that was a complete.
Race 7, $100,000. I was just thinking about something else. 6 furlongs, main special here for the fillies. A big field of 12 with an A also. That would be 1,000 to 1 if she got in. Morning favorite is the number 6, Keepsake, a first-time starter who I have feeling is going to take a lot of money for Brad Cox and Flavian Pratt. How do we know the source is going to take a lot of money? Well, let's take a look at our picks, shall we? A little precursor. Yeah. We're all going with the Brad Cox first-time starter. I'm going 6-4-9. Pete's going 6-5-4, and Ryan is going the same exacta as Pete, 6-5 with the 2 in third. Ryan, you're up first. Keepsake, we're obviously taking a guess based on breeding, pedigree, works, blah, blah, blah. This one could be something special.
Yeah, obviously Nick Tamaro makes the morning lines here. We have a couple second-time starters or multiple-time starters in here, including the number 2, who I picked third. That horse I would have thought would have been the favorite just coming out of that race at Churchill Downs. Lost to Ali Shika, who was a good, I believe, Norm Cassie horse who just kind of freaked first time out. So to see the 6 was made the morning line favorite, that maybe just gives me a slight tip that this horse has a bit of ability, maybe been working well in the mornings, and obviously the connections are very strong. Bred by Windstar Farm, owned by Windstar Farm, Pratt and Cox into Mischief at a quality road. Probably going to want 2 turns, but this horse might just be more talented than the others on debut and might just be able to get it done.
By the way, a little name drop. I was at Windstar Farm for the first time ever last weekend. A horse that I have a small ownership piece of with a Delphi named Otello. If that name sounds familiar, Otello actually was on the Derby Trail a little bit at Gulfstream early in the year and won the Mucho Macho Man Stakes. Then was on the shelf, and Delphi has purchased him fully, and I have a small piece of that. And I saw him work, and he looked fantastic. And Otello, remember that name? He'll be coming back the next month or two, guys, in New York, most likely in an allowance race and hopefully in some stake races. So we're excited about Otello, who's working and living right now at Windstar, which is why I bring it up. Let's look at the breeding. The dam is top quality. Name very apropos, Ryan. This horse won 139,000, but as you said, this was a 1 1/8 horse, quality road out of a Bernardini mare, and this is the mother of the Keepsake. So maybe this horse wants to go long. 1 for 2 though, the progeny, first time out. And, so there's not much to, talk about there. This is a young mother. American Speed was a little more of a turf horse. The one that really caught my eye was this horse, Pastor T, a horse I'm sure you know of, Ryan, who was very good first time out last summer for Bob Baffert and just ran a 79 buyer as a 2-year-old for JJ and with Sienna or Windstar. I wonder if they've been barn buddies at some point of their short lives. This is the one that caught my attention, Ryan, when I was looking at the breeding. I don't know if you felt the same way.
I did, yeah. I was actually at Del Mar last year when that horse debuted and freaked. Definitely use that horse. You can't fade Baffert in maiden races on the West Coast. But I was really excited to see that horse run again, and it's just one of those that hasn't come back for one reason or another. So looks like a full brother here. Full sister. Sorry, these are fillies. Full sister here running with Keepsake. So I'm excited to see how this filly does. Again, the talent here might just be a little above what we have in the rest of this field.
Pete, the horse is working like 6 won't be a problem. You never know. I have a feeling we're looking at 7 to 5, Pete. I think this horse is going to take a ton of money.
Yeah. I don't think. I mean, the works don't jump out as being anything super crazy, which may be the only reason the horse is sitting at 3. Yeah, there's one back there, but they don't. I'm just saying they don't jump off the page, which you would normally maybe see a morning line of maybe 8 to 5 or something. But yeah, I think the breeding looks good. There's a crazy stat: Cox and Pratt combination in the past 5 months, 15 for 30 wins. 27 for 30 in the money. That's unbelievable.
Wait, hold on. So last how many months?
5 months. So past
last
5 months together. Yeah.
Cox and Pratt are 27 of 30 in the money.
In the money. Yeah, 15 for 30 on the win end. That's unbelievable.
Now,
I saw that.
As most people know, I'm a math teacher, and you don't have to be a math teacher. That's 90%. That's 90%. That's pretty damn good right there. Wow.
And in dirt sprints, smaller sample size, 5 for 8 and 8 for 8 in the money. So yeah, when these two hook up, it's pretty good. And now you're getting a horse who's by far the most talented horse in the race and has all everything you want. But again, it's still a first-time starter, and anything weird can happen with a first-time starter. So even with all of that, I don't think it's like some lock because it's a pretty it's a big field. Anything could happen. You break a little funny, you break a little slow. You get, behind horses. You're not used to that. I mean, Pratt's great at navigating those things, but you never know what the horse itself is going to do until they run.
Yep, they still have to break. And I got to tell you about Windstar, by the way. That facility, it's just, it's so obvious when you're in Lexington, guys. You go to these farms, why these horses thrive. It's huge pastures. It's nice and peaceful. They're with their buddies. I mean, it's just it's first class all the way. It's just, a great place to live if you're a horse. Princess Aaliyah, Ryan, quickly, and Pete. Actually, Pete, let's talk about Princess Aaliyah. How about the coach with a $1.2 million Keeneland September yearling sale into Mischief filly out of a Mr. Greeley mare? Who knows? D-Way, not great first time out. I have a feeling this one's probably going to be better longer, but the works are okay. Gets an aggressive Saez. Who knows?
Yeah, this is a funny one because if you look, when the first time started, all you have are sort of breeding statistics, trainer statistics, price, things like that. And you look at this one, everything screams this horse should be good. The breeding is good. There's some good percentage stats. The dam is good. dirt sprints, everything. And then you look, and Lucas, 4 for 106 first-time starters, 1 for 50 in dirt sprints at Keeneland. So I'm looking at that going, geez, I don't know. You don't know which one to weigh more. Do you weigh sort of the horse's stuff, or do you weigh the trainer's stuff? And it's hard to decide. But like you, Ryan, I was like, you know what? Maybe at a price, I think this horse can be just one. He has 4 wins. This could be 5. You could still have a shitty percentage and win one every once in a while. So,
yeah, I agree. And I don't know if you saw who this horse is a half to, but it's a grade 1 winner. Princess Aaliyah is, which is Eskimo Kisses, trained by Mystique. So that was interesting enough for me. Looks like second on the debut by a head behind the next out winner. So, I mean, maybe a little bit of precocity, is going to want to go longer. But in a race like this, big field, maybe there's, a bunch of speed that we don't see. Maybe this horse just kind of comes and picks up the pieces, because clearly there's some talent in the breeding. So, you mentioned Wayne Lucas, not the best stats, but hey, maybe number 5.
Well, and the damn guys went 2 miles. So this smells to me of a 2-turn horse completely. I understand what you're saying. Who knows? Maybe you guys are right. I think this horse will be. This feels like this is a prep for a stretch out at Churchill going a mile and 16th, guys. That's sort of how it, or how it feels to me. I'm going with the 4, Taverna. This horse is okay. Just has experience. Get blinkers on for Walsh and Tyler G, which has been an awesome combination. But I just don't like a lot of other horses in this race, guys. And I think this is, in a weird way, Keepsake's race to win or lose. I mean, if she's the goods, I think she just wins. I looked at the 9, Miss Farrow, but Miss Farrow has more turf breeding, but has been working like lights out. I watched actually some of the works guys. She's got sort of a high knee action, and the Farrows are actually better on turf. So I wouldn't be too misled by these really fast works. But I mean, you can't ignore those works. I just have a feeling that she's not quite as good as her works say. I don't know. We'll see. You guys got others in the mix. Any final thoughts on this race, Pete? And we'll move on to the next one.
No, I think we hit most of them. The 3's another one too. Had some nice works we didn't mention. Chuck Peary, by the way, I had to look him up. I couldn't remember. The name sounded familiar. As far as Equibase goes, he hadn't trained a horse since 2017, which is why he had no statistics. So I was like, man, that's a weird one. But the horse had some really nice works, and the breeding's decent. And again, it's one of those where, like you say in the last one, if Keepsake doesn't win, I think it probably pretty open to a bunch of other ones.
Yeah, Irad's on the rail with a horse that doesn't look good enough, but we'll show there is speed to the inside, so that actually might work well for Keepsake, guys. Maybe break, let the speed go and sit instead of having to feel like Keepsake has to rush up. I mean, I don't have intel, but I don't actually mind that situation. So I don't know. Keepsake's one of the horses on Saturday I'm actually really looking forward to watching run. I mean, this could be an Oaks horse, and or could be completely overrated. I mean, we have no idea, but that's sort of what makes these baby races fun, guys. So we shall see. Let's go on to the next race. This is the big one, ladies and gentlemen. And I sort of like that's in the middle of the pick 5. Makes it a little bit interesting. It is the QE2. This is one of the best races of the year. The best race of the year for 3-year-old fillies on the turf here in the United States. It's the Challenge Cup, grade 1, because it is invitational only, by the way. It is $750,000 purse, $750,000, a mile and 1/8 on the turf. It is a field of 10. There's no AEs. Again, you have to be invited, guys, to go to this race. And speaking of invited, there were 2 invitees from Europe that we got to talk about that I've actually done some pretty good deep diving in. I'm curious to hear what you guys have to say. The number 5, Soprano, which I was going to say with a higher voice, but I wanted to spare Pete Visco. He didn't want to hear that. From Ireland, for Bowie and Long Nane, who's coming in to ride, which is very interesting. 7-2 morning line. I have a feeling that horse is going to come down from that. And the other one is Kandala, the number 10, a French bred, who is 9-2 morning line for Graffard, and Jarou gets to ride his former country ladies horse. I don't know how to phrase that correctly, but I would say country man, but it's okay. Anyway,
Let's leave that alone.
This is a very interesting race, guys, in a lot of ways. Let me ask you guys a question before we talk about the race. Pete, in general, what are your impressions of the American 3-year-old turf fillies?
They're fine. I can't think of one off the top of my head that jumps out unless I'm missing someone. I think it's an okay bunch. I think it's a pretty even bunch. I don't think there's a standout unless, is there someone I'm missing you guys can think of? Or
Ryan, what's the best 3-year-old turf filly out west?
Johannes.
No,
that's a colt. Yep. I don't know then. Yeah, there's not
I
one.
Scream You Scream is a boy, right? I'm sorry for asking. Or is that a girl? Is that a female?
Oh man, I should know that one.
Didn't run well this past
Didn't
weekend.
run well.
Anyway.
No, that was no part of a mile and a quarter.
4. Isn't Ice Cream You Scream 4? I'd have to look it up.
Yeah.
Asking questions I should know the answers to. Ryan, that sort of proves my point. That to me, like the 3-year-old fillies in this country, to me, even She Feels Pretty, just sort of meh. I don't know if you would agree with that or not.
I do. When it comes to the Euros, Jackson just hit in the chat. Ice Cream You Scream 3-year-old filly. But yeah, bombed going the mile and a quarter.
Yeah.
Bombed going a mile and a quarter. But thank you, Jackson. That's a good co-host for me right there.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, She Feels Pretty is talented for sure. For Cherie DeVoe, but I mean, when a Euro ships over or a Japanese filly ships over, you have to respect them more. At least this year, I know US has had some strong ones in years past, but this year, I mean, I can't really think of anybody that's gonna stand out head and shoulders above a lot of Americans, let alone any Euros that are strong that come over.
Well, then you would assume, ladies and gentlemen, that we are all going with the Euros, but I don't know. Maybe I'm playing a little cat and mouse game. Let's take a look at our picks on the bottom of the screen. Yep. I'm going 10-6-3. Look at Pete and Ryan, the Exacta brothers. Pete is going 5-3-6. Ryan's going 5-3-9. How about I go first, guys, this time because I'm the little than you guys. I have quite a bit of intel. Take it or leave it, everyone. I mean, who knows, right? Intel is intel. But, sometimes it's good. Sometimes it works out, whatever. Do whatever with you want. First of all, this is going to sound a bit arrogant. I do not mean it to be. Ryan, I saw Kandala run in person on my only trip to France this summer. It was really cool. I was there for the Prix de Diane. She was 12-1. Didn't take a lot of money. Obviously, it was a tough field. Sparkling Plenty, who at the time we didn't really know much about, was a price, has now gone on to do great things this summer. So that was sort of a harbinger of things to come. There's a few things I like about Kandala. And guys, I have a replay from France, courtesy of French Gallop, which I now belong to. So I'm going to show that replay in just a minute, guys. First of all, let's talk about the obvious. She's cutting back, right? She's been going 1.25 miles, 1.5 miles, 1 5/16. This is 1.8 miles. I think the cutback, guys, is going to do well for Kandala. She's won at 1 mile. She's not like a horse that's got like a big, long, loping stride. She looks like 1.8 miles will be perfect for her, number one. Number two, this is a bit of a guess. I think the firm turf is really going to work well for her. She's by Frankel, guys, out of a Dalakani mare. And the Frankels can run on anything, but if you watch Frankel's career and you follow, they're better on firmer turf. They like to hear their feet rattle. And being on the turf course at Keeneland, and they actually put 3/4 of an inch of water, I don't know if you guys know that, on the Keeneland turf course yesterday. It was actually good today, even though they've had no rain, which I found a little bizarre. I think it's because there's just been no rain in Lexington for quite a while, guys, since they had that remnants of Hurricane Helene. Anyway, it's going to be firm. I think she's going to like it firm. If we believe the Euro 3-year-old fillies are better, then I don't see how we can't like this horse. The time form is nothing spectacular. However, I always think they're going to run back to close to that number as a buyer. So when I see 102, 98, 97, guys, I think she's going to run probably a low to mid 90s in this race on Saturday. At least I'm speculating. My main concerns with this horse are twofold. One, breaking from the outside. Now, she doesn't have a problem breaking in general, but it's first time US, she's breaking from the outside, number one. And it is a long run in the first turn. Number two, I need Drew to get this horse covered up. I don't think she'll be as good if she's not covered. She's got to tuck in somewhere. If she tucks in and gets a decent trip, based on who she's facing, guys, Friendly Soul, who she lost to in the Prix-Alec Head last time, just went on and won the Prix de la Opera, which was a Breeders' Cup prep this past weekend. Survey 2 starts ago, we're going to watch, is a nice horse. In fact, let's watch this 2 starts ago. I'm assuming you guys didn't see this unless you saw it on YouTube here. Kandala is in green on the inside, guys. And this is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. It was a very slow pace. She's right here. It was a slow pace. This is the stretch run. Count how many times she gets like steadied or bumped and she couldn't get out. She's waiting patiently. She wants to get out. Okay, then she couldn't get out there. Do you see how she's trying to get to the outside? Now this horse won't let her get her out. And she's asking, there's just a wall there. She wants to get out. Again, this horse who didn't let her out. Now she's got to come to the inside. And now she's in between. And she just didn't really go on with it. I thought she was blocked, steadied a bunch of times. She still finished okay. You see the time, 2:39. Again, it was a very, very soft that day. I could have shown you guys more. I just don't think she got a clear run. Basically, to put it very mildly there. So I'm hoping she gets the sort of immersive kind of trip, even though it's a turf race. Like second or third on the outside, guys covered up. I think she's going to explode in the lane. And I like her a lot. And I think the other filly, who you guys have on top, is going to take more money. I don't like that one as much. And I'll talk about that after you guys talk about that. So I'm going with Kandala. Neither one of you guys have the source of the money. What was it? Too slow? You didn't like no left-hand turns? I mean, there are some things you can knock. I just think she's faced really, really good horses.
Go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah, honestly, it was just I trust the jockey of the 5 more than I trust the jockey of the 10 to get this horse some cover and tip this horse out and give him a good strong run coming down the lane, or give her a good strong run down the lane. And if the post positions were flipped, I probably would have picked Kandala over the number 5 in here. But this is a turf course where it's really important to save ground on both turns. And we've seen some favorites go down that were drawn to the outside even today, where it's just a tough place to win from. Yesterday, the early pick 5, we had the 12 and the 14 over 2 of the favorites going 2 turns on the turf, and they couldn't quite get it done because they just lost too much ground going around the turn. So that was something that definitely played a factor. I like how both Kandala and our number 5 Soprano both lost to Friendly Soul at some point in different races. I think that's kind of unique. And then, I just didn't pick Kandala on top. I want to throw a U.S. horse in there underneath as well.
A few things real quick, Pete, and then we'll get to you and the number 5 and Ryan. She wore a hood last time. She wears a hood again. It's not quite blinkers, but it helps with her control and her focus, and she's doing it again, as I found out through some other research. It's not in the program. And also, Ryan, just to let you know, the rails were out today at Keeneland when Pratt put on an absolute clinic, and you definitely want to save ground. The rails are down on Saturday, and as you guys know, it's a very expansive turf course, so I'm less worried about being on the inside. However, your point is taken. Pete, let's talk about the other filly here coming in from Europe, the number 5 Soprano, 7-2 morning line. Our good friend Davey Lane has seen some anti-post betting in Europe with this horse down to as low as 8-5 or 9-5, Pete. And it's pretty obvious to me why, because the form line of the last race with Porta Fortuna in there, and Friendly Soul, by the way, 3 back. She's faced some very good ones, and she ran her best race of her career at Leopardstown last time against the potential Breeders' Cup Mile favorite in Porta Fortuna.
Yeah, it was a lot of that, and I agree with what Ryan said. I sort of like the trip a little bit better that I think this horse would get, and I actually thought even last time was a little bit too far back, and or actually no, last time was the one where because this horse had broken poorly in many races earlier. So I was watching a few races and broke poorly. Last time was actually a little too close, I thought, and maybe that took away from the kick that she had shown in some other.
She's a little keen, like she didn't
look right. Yeah, she didn't look right. I don't know if they were doing that on purpose, trying to get her a little more into it early, but I didn't think it suited her. But again, it could have just been that she ran against 2 top-notch horses as well, and that was enough to get her beat. But I think here there's enough speed. There's not like hot pace, but I think there's enough speed here to where we can at least get an honest pace. And I think if she doesn't sit way in the back but isn't too close, I think she has a nice enough closing kick to where if she sits mid-pack, I think she's gonna be able to come up strong. And I agree with everything Ryan said. It was sort of the Giroux post factor that knocked the 10 down a bit for me. And I didn't love that combination, but I had the 10 as an A as well. I thought this was a really tough race. I actually went like 4 or 5 deep on the A line when I went through everyone. So I just thought it was a tough race, but I landed on this horse just from the class, and I think the trip can work out if hopefully I don't think they'll push her to be as close, and I hope they don't, because I think she'll have a pretty strong late kick if they let her sit back a little bit.
Yeah, the Giroux hatred or not hatred. I don't look. He's more like second call for Cox. The guy can still ride, and I personally prefer him on turf, guys. I just think some of his dirt rides have been really weird. I think he was on Highland Falls at Parks when I liked him, or I can't. I don't know. He was on, or maybe it was at Monmouth. I don't know. He was on. His dirt rides lately have not been great. I think he's been getting a lot of crap, to be honest. But really, I think he's better on turf, and he might want to get covered up also, Pete. And it's more likely she's gonna the horse will be able to get covered up more than Kandala just because of the post position. But here's my main question, Ryan, and this is why I'm only using Soprano defensively. Not only is she going to be probably the favorite, I'll say 9 to 5ish, 2 to 1. I'm just going to throw a number out there. It's what Tom Espinoza says and what I think. I don't know if Soprano wants the mile and eighth. Now, the breeding is Star Spangled Banner. If you're not familiar with Star Spangled Banner on the male side, that was a very, very talented horse, but that was a sprinter. That was purely sprinting. Celebration was more of a miler type. And Ryan, in 13 lifetime starts, and George Bowie, the trainer, is no fool. The furthest she's gone in a mile. I mean, there's got to be a reason for that. So, yes, you could say, well, Euros, they go uphill. Sure, she can get the extra mile, the extra eighth of a mile. I'm a bit dubious with this one. We'll see, but I don't want to take 9 to 5 to find that out, to be very honest.
I can see what you're saying for sure. But as you just said, George Bowie's no fool. He must think shipping over. He knows the distance of this race. So I think he knows that this horse can probably get an extra furlong. So I typically, when I do my handicapping for Euro turfers specifically, I will give them an extra furlong coming over. Even if this horse has been strictly a miler, which this one, that's kind of been the cap for this horse. I'll give them an extra furlong because typically that's just how it kind of ends up playing out, where they're able to get that extra furlong, maybe extra half furlong in some cases. With those strict milers, they'll come over, they'll handle the extra, no problem. Just with how much easier it is to run here. It's not that undulating course. They're not going uphill. They're not, running in a spiral or doing something crazy. So they have the ability to run pretty well going a mile and an eighth. Or an extra furlong compared to their normal distance. So that was enough to forgive it. I'm not sure I'm going to single Soprano on any tickets, especially my pick 5. But I do have that horse as a solid A for me, just because I think that's the most talented and I like the post position.
How about your Pacific horse player buddy Noah Maher? All systems go on Pounce at 12 to 1. Interesting choice. Not complete out of it. I've got Pounce in the mix, and you're going to get a big price, Noah, because the hills and valleys of Kentucky Downs did not work too well for Pounce. But you guys know why he's going with Pounce, right? I mean, he doesn't even have to look at the PPs. This is a Resolute racing horse. So obviously Noah wants to get in the winner's circle is what that is on Saturday.
Yes,
but actually, she's not bad, guys. Like you said, Pete, there's a lot of ways to go here.
Yeah, this is a really good field. I mean, because it's not like these are if the Euros don't fire or they're not as good as maybe we're hoping them to be, and I think this race is pretty wide open. I mean, she feels pretty 5 to 2. We didn't really get into, which we'll hit real quick.
We'll go very short in the last two races. Let's get into it. She feels pretty. Losing to Cinderella's Dream, Ryan and Pete. There's nothing wrong with that. Cinderella's Dream is really good. That last race, I know Grayosh got a perfect trip. Isn't she supposed to get the job done there? I know she puts blinkers on. She's been basically the best 3-year-old filly in the country, but she's also not improving that much by the numbers. So again, similar to 5, at least in my logic, these lower price horses come post time, I think you can fade with a small bit of confidence, at least in my own mind.
Yeah, I thought I was hoping. I mean, I don't know. We don't know if DeVoe is putting the blinkers on because maybe she feels pretty, wasn't as focused that she'd like down the lane or something because she got into a couple of fights and lost both of them. It's hard to know. It's hard to know if maybe the distance isn't what she wants. If does her late kick go away? Does any sort of kick that she has late go away the longer they go? I think that could be a concern with this horse as well. At 5-2, she's tough. I mean, I don't get bogged down in the price. If I'm talking about a pick 5, if I like a horse, I like a horse. I'm going to put them in. I'm not going to shy away if they're a little lower than I want them to be. But I don't think she stands way above any of these other horses from a figure standpoint, from a talent standpoint. So I think that's why I think you could probably go deep, because I think if the Euros don't win, I think you can go to probably 4 or 5 other horses I had in the mix, including the one you have on the screen there.
2 starts back with number 6 oversubscribed. Jackson, or I'm sorry, Pete, you got this one third. She got a wicked hot pace to close into, and I was against her in the Lake George, and she still ran a very nice race, losing to Pounce, by the way. So you can upgrade Pounce off that race. I know she's stretching out also, but Ryan, you said it. I mean, Bowie's no fool. Chad Brown's no fool. And she was invited here. So they could have said, no, thank you, but they are going to go here. Can she get the extra furlong? Perhaps. And might actually get a price on a Chad in a $750,000 grade 1. I can't leave this horse off my ticket, Pete. I just can't.
Yeah, I don't blame you at all. I'm going with the other Chad Brown as my third pick here, just because.
That's okay. Go ahead, Ryan.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Pete.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. No, all good. I was going to say I agree with you that on the. Okay. I thought you were asking Ryan. On the 6.
No, because you have the Pete. Yeah, you have this horse third. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I like the horse. Because I thought Pounce got the jump last time and just had the advantage, and it wasn't necessarily a hot pace, and I thought Pounce just had a better trip. And I think now you're getting Irad, who was on this horse 3 back, but I think just fits the style a little bit better too. So I like the 6. I definitely would put the 6 in the mix, and even the 9, which Ryan you could talk about. I had this one as a definite win contender, but you can get into the details why.
I've heard about 6-1 overseas, Ryan, as of now. Taking a little Chad and Flavian money, obviously, is getting better. But got such a good trip last time. What a ride, by the way. If you watch that replay, that was completely sick.
Yeah, absolutely got a perfect trip last time. But I mean, that has a lot to do with the jockey. We saw Pratt sweep the late pick 3 today. All 3 with great trips. He should have been looked at on that one dirt race, but that I digress. How many times though have we seen Chad and Flavian Pratt do something in a grade 1 stake where they really have no business winning? As funny as that sounds, there's Gina Romantica in the QE2 Cup a couple years ago who popped at a price. That was her first grade 1 win, if I remember correctly. And the way Pratt rides, he will take it to the other horses. I know there's a lot of speed on paper. Maybe nobody sends. We know Pratt's going to try and be aggressive. He may not be on the lead, but he's going to get this horse some position going the mile and an 1/8. So in a race like this, where it should be one of the 2 Euros, the 5 or the 10, I guess the French bred or the Irish bred, the 5 or the 10 in here, I do like Chad Brown in third. I just feel like Pratt's going to give the right ride. This horse is going to be tuned up and ready. That's enough for me.
Yep. QE2, it's going to be a lot of fun. If I'm alive to Pounce, which I'm only using as a B or a C at best, that'd be very cool to see Noah in the winner's circle for the QE2. I'm sure he'll be in the winner's circle for that if it happens, along with Pete. Who knows who else he'll bring into that winner's circle, but that would be pretty cool for a grade 1. So I'm rooting for him personally and Pounce, but it's a pretty tough ask. A lot of things are going to have to go well for her to win. Let's go on to the next race, guys. We spent a lot of time in the QE2, as deserved. Race 9, there's a horse in this race I'm absolutely fascinated with. It's one of my plays of the day. Race 9 is a very high-class allowance race, optional 80. This one is a mile and a 16th. It's 2 turns, $120,000 is the purse. Big field of 12 with Creative Minister as an AE number 13. Pretty heavy morning line favorite. The number 5, Kamorabino Omide, I believe is pronounced. I was working on it. I don't know if that's correct, but Omidai, I believe. I'm not sure. Anyway, the Japanese horse who, guys, lays over the field by the buyers. So I'm assuming we're all just going to pick this horse on top. No, none of us are picking this horse on top. I'm going 7-11-5. Pete's going 5-11-4. Ryan's going 4-11-5. Ryan and Pete, a little palindrome there, if we know that word. But anyway, going opposites there. We all get the 11 in second. So Ryan, I'm going to go to you. What is it about this Japanese horse that we don't like, or we're just trying to beat to get a little cute here? I'll let you explain first, because all this horse done is finished third in the Charlestown Classic to a horse called Skippy Longstocking. Was a length off of Hit Show. Is really good right now. Is better than most of these or all of these by the buyers by several points. So what is it about this horse we don't like?
The post. It's really just that simple. Just gonna be wide. Gonna most likely lose ground on the 2 turns, and that was enough to fade in here. There's a couple other favorites that I like in this sequence, so I didn't want to go with one that I thought was vulnerable in my pick 5. So I picked this horse second out of respect because, again, lays over this field on buyers and on class, but just on the merit of this horse is going to lose ground going these 2 turns. Obviously has the advantage being forwardly placed with the short stretch at the 1 1/16 here. But, you scroll down to my top pick. That's the number 4, King Kumbale, I think is how you say it. Jose and Ignacio Correas. I like this horse second off the layoff. Second time Lasix. Getting this not stretch out, but rather cut back. I think that first run off the bench was a bit of a kind of prep for this spot. So I like this spot here for this horse. I think he's going to sit a nice trip, going to kind of get the rail, get some, protection, kind of save ground, sit the nice pocket trip and be able to kind of close once they get to the top of the stretch.
Pete Thomas distracting us in the chat with all this NFL talk. Hey, pick a lane, Tom. Either talk horse, either watch our show or watch your 49. I'm just kidding. I know the 49ers are on. They could use a win, by the way, Pete and Ryan. They've had some injury issues. King Kumbala is interesting, and I sort of feel the way you do, Ryan, about the 11. I'm going to let Pete talk about his top choice. A very talented horse who I thought was going to have a huge 2024. Obviously, something happened with number 5, Parchment Party, is taking money on the morning line at 7-2. Junior and Mott, a great combination. 2 for 2, very lightly raced, a late blooming 3-year-old. If this horse can stay healthy, Pete, I think we're going to hear about this horse going forward. The question is, are we going to see a big effort on Saturday from this horse?
Yeah, this is more of a sentimental top choice for me. This was the horse that I liked as my Derby future way back before. Yeah, way back before the Parchment Party and another Mott, actually, Knightsbridge, which the 2 of them never ran again. So you see where I didn't put money on either one of them. But I really like this horse, and I just loved, I'm a sucker for deep closers like this. And I don't know. This is a really tough spot going against older horses coming back after this long layoff and whatever was ailing him the whole time that was keeping him out. He's going to be coming from way back. I do like the move to Alvarado. That's Mott's guy, and I trust Alvarado more than Graham. It's going to be a tough ask, though. The only thing I like is, and the thing that Ryan mentioned about the post for the 11, the other thing that I thought could maybe soften the 11 up is the 10 right to his inside is speed as well. There's a little bit of speed, so they could maybe make it tough for the 11 to clear. And if they do that from that outside post, you can sap some of that early energy or make him work too hard to get to the lead. If they do that, maybe we could set it up for one of the closers. I do like Ryan, that 4. I think if the 4 comes back and improves and isn't just bad and not as good as last year, which I guess that's the worry, I think the 4 will be sitting a nice trip to pounce on if there's a speed duel, and the 5 will be running late. And so that's where I was leaning. But if the 11 clears easily, he's going to be pretty tough to run down.
Guys, something I'm paying attention to a lot recently in the last several years, and it's really been good for me. When you look at the 11, I agree with everything you guys said. This is the horse to beat, clearly. Let's just say it, right? I mean, obviously the horse to beat. It's a short run to the first turn. It's a short stretch. That's no bueno for the 11 on both accounts, number 1. Number 2, guys, this horse has been outstanding, right? Look at the work pattern. I think people need to pay attention to the work pattern more than they do, okay? This horse was working steadily in July to get ready for the Mountaineer race when he ran huge, right? Then worked a very nice 48-3 at Charlestown to get ready for the Charlestown race, right? So he's in peak form. That was August 23rd when he ran a bang-up race in the Charlestown Classic. August 23rd, right? No published works for over a month, and it was one slow work at Louisiana, and now he's going to be, vanned up to Keeneland. it's just weird. I'm not saying the horse is lame. I'm not saying the horse won't run well. Don't you want to see some works out of this horse? It just feels like he was really pointed to these big stake races, guys. And Pete, I see this in harness racing a lot, where you have horses really geared up for that stake race, and then they go back to like the N1X kind of thing, and they're like 3 to 5, and they don't fire.
Yeah.
I just have a weird vibe with this horse, guys. I don't think we're going to see a mid-90s buyer out of this horse. And I agree with you, Pete. There's other speed, right? And the 11 doesn't have to be on the lead, but the 11, like Ryan said, doesn't want to be 8 wide either.
Yeah, I feel like
Rouge,
just because of the post, I think the lead would be the most beneficial in this case because he does have speed. But yeah, he's come from off, but you don't want to come off after sitting, like you said, 5 wide or even worse from that post if there is speed. Yeah, that 10, the 10's not fast, but the 10's only shot is
he's got to go though, right?
Yeah,
the 10's got to go.
Yeah.
I think the 9 is sprinty and is probably going to be going, in my opinion.
Yeah.
The 8, is more mid-pack, right? The 6 is not going. I mean, the 6 has got to at least ask a little bit. What's the 3 doing? Are you guys going to tell me from the 3 hole that Gaffleon's not going to be aggressive there too? And the 1 is not really a speed horse, but you got the rail into a short run first turn. I mean, the 1's not slow either. So, guys, I don't think the 11's going to have a real good time from out there. My play of the day, one of my big plays. Oh, sorry, Ryan, you wanted to say something?
Oh, no, please go ahead.
Ben Franklin. Now, here's the hilarious thing, and I mentioned this on my Power Picks this weekend, Pete. Kids, I just wrote them today. There's a horse at Belmont Aqueduct that I like named Volt. So I'm going with a horse named Volt and Ben Franklin. Any connection there?
I like it.
Guys, this horse ran very well at Oaklawn. And Oaklawn in the spring and winter is really good. It's one of the best dirt courses in the country, right, in terms of class. This horse was very good then. Took a break. That last race, guys, was so preppy. It's ridiculous. Like her name, Leperoux, who you can say whatever you want, didn't really ask very much at all. Got chucked on the backstretch and then asked like into the stretch just enough to make the horse like not finish last, but galloped out a little bit. It looked. You gotta watch the replay. Ben Franklin, number 7 at 15-1. I'm telling you, if the pace heats up like I think this horse is going to make a huge run late, and it's going to be a major, major factor in this race. I mean, other than the 11, who are we really afraid of in this race?
I had the 7 as a B. I thought that last race was sneaky. If you look at just the incrementals, came home fastest in that race, was just too far out of it and probably just needed. And I love the driver change. Leperoux doesn't know what he's doing from
the jockey
that
change,
far back. Yeah. And now you're putting Hernandez, so I think it'd work out a much better trip.
It was a slow pace, guys. I really like this horse. Costs $435. McPeak likes to give them one off the layoff usually. I am going to be major, very large reverse try keys. If I were playing in the contest Saturday, I'd be using this horse in doubles and like this is. I hope I'm right. I could be wrong. I don't know, but Ben Franklin, number 7, reminds me of Command Performance Speed. Remember that horse I tipped out like 30-1? And I had him in the Derby Future and didn't work out there, but then came back and almost upside a field, like similar to this in an allowance race last fall, almost a year ago. I remembered it. It was like it's got that kind of vibe to me. I don't know. We'll see what happens, guys. That's
I like the try key angle with that horse. I think that horse is going to be coming late.
I think so. We'll see. Hopefully it'll work out for me. Again, probably more underneath, but if he shocks the field at 12, 15-1, wouldn't surprise me. Well, very quickly, guys, I've been rambling a lot, but I really want to talk about Kandala and Ben Franklin tonight. Let's go to the last race, guys. We're just going to talk briefly. It's a completely cluster F, wide open allowance race for 2-year-olds. A 2-year-old turf allowance, 1 mile, $110,000 the purse. Field of 12. Morning line favorite is the number 5 Blue Coast at 4-1 for Walsh and Gaffleon. There's Purse Thief, by the way, as the AE. So I don't think he'll get in. We'll see. He might though. I don't love him in this spot. I think it's for the level, it's not that tough, but I just am not sure how good Purse Thief is yet. There's our picks in the bottom. I'm going 6-12-5. Pete's going 5-1-4. Ryan is also going. Our first time we're going with the same, I think. Or no, second time, Ryan. Ryan's going 6-1-12. Pete, quickly about the number 5 Blue Coast, second time starter.
Yeah, this is a tough race. I didn't have a huge, strong opinion in this one. I like this horse. I think will appreciate sort of stretching back out from the last run. My only problem with this horse is I think he's probably going to be better off if he can sit off a little bit, and he hasn't shown that ability where he can maybe sit off and pass horses. I don't know if he's going to have a chance to get on the lead, or if he does, I think there's other horses that can contend for the lead. So my hope was it's a very soft top choice, and the hope was, can this horse sit off a bit? And if so, I think there's a little bit of talent there. Lost to Tistastic, who's a really good horse in the last one, and actually. The horse who ran second is also pretty nice too. So I think this horse class is right, and I think getting to a better distance, it's just the point of whether I don't think he's going to be able to sit on the lead. So I'm hoping he could sit off. But again, it's a very soft top choice in this one.
I agree with everything you said, Pete. And Qatar Racing and Gaffley and Walsh win a lot of races together, and that's a nice combination. You and I, Ryan, are both going to go with the Brigade, the number 6 at 8-1. I assume we feel the same way, that the hills and valleys of Kentucky Downs just got to him a little bit. It was him. It was a very fast pace. Still ran okay, and compared to the rest of this field, absolutely fits. Might need a little speed in front of him, but I think there will be a decent enough speed in this race early.
Yeah, definitely. At Kentucky Downs, obviously, don't need to talk about how weird of a configuration that place is. So if they run poorly, especially as a 2-year-old, I'll toss that. Improve the buyer 10 points, which is not bad. Goes from Amici El Jaramillo to Jose Ortiz, excuse me. So I like that. I love these War of Will 2-year-olds. Mark Cassie's been on an absolute tear with his 2-year-olds. And I love the War of Wills, routing on the grass. And I mean, this is a very top pick for me. I know this is a pretty deep and confusing race. It's pretty muddled up. There's not a whole lot to go off of. But those are the kind of races where I really like to press an opinion that I have. So this is going to be one of my singles in the pick 5 for sure.
Nice.
Singling this horse. Get alive to the last leg. Be alive to something that's a morning line of 8-1. It's going to be. This is going to be a deeply competitive race. I'd be shocked if there was a favorite if the favorite was under 7-2. In here, I don't know that we'll get 8-1 on that horse. To be honest, I feel like 6-1 might be more in the right kind of price range. But yeah, I love the War Wills going 2 turns. Again, Cassie is hot. 2 backs at a nice trip. Can do the same here from the 6 hole. And then I mentioned the jockey upgrade. So I'm all in on this 6 horse.
Wow, good luck. I'll tell you, it's a ballsy single, but I like it because otherwise you got to spread a lot. I just wanted to mention number 12, Currahee, who I might be able to overcome the outside draw with the early speed, is stretching out for Brittany Russell, a War of Will, by the way, who is standing right next to my buddy Warfront at Claiborne Farm. So War of Will, a new stallion at Claiborne for this past season. I don't know about the distance, but I believe he was an AE list in the Bourbon Stakes. So I think they think very highly of this one. Obviously, he's got to overcome a lot of things there. It's pretty wide open, Pete. Your one horse has speed. I was going
to talk about
the inside. Do you have a poster of this horse?
Yeah, good one. I got a lot of posters, not of this horse. That he has to win. If he closes out the pick 5 for me, then maybe he'll get a picture on the wall. Ryan, I was going to ask you about the 1 too, because I think if the 12 for some reason doesn't break well or can't get to the lead, I think the 1 is sneaky from that spot to maybe just go out and can just sort of take them the whole way. I don't know if that's what you were thinking. You had the horse in second also.
I just like the way this horse finished first time out, but the one there were a couple downgrades I kind of had on this horse. I did pick this horse second because I think the 12 being the best horse in the field is just going to be out too wide. Bejarano going the 2 turns. He's best in Kentucky, so I do like that. But Owen Hardy at Ellis Park, where this horse won on debut, could not lose at that meet. I believe he went 5 for 7 or 6 for 8 or some ridiculous number there. So he was just on fire with everything he sent out. You can see this horse won from the rail on the debut, which is no easy task, even though it was going 2 turns at Ellis. It was enough for me to pick this horse second. I think 5-1 might just be a little low. And I mentioned I'm really high on the 6 here, but I like poster underneath. And I'm in agreement with you that if the 12 just kind of can't get to the front for whatever reason, or maybe is just too wide, and Bejarano is really aggressive from the 1 hole, he can just kind of clear and stay clear going into that first turn.
Yeah, that's sort of why I put the horse, because we've seen so many times a turf race where you're like, oh, there's going to be pace, there's going to be this, and then one horse just sort of gets out and takes him around, and nobody can run the horse down. And I think this horse at least has shown enough talent to where if that happens, I think he can do it, as opposed to having some 25-1 shot who does it. I think this horse is talented enough to where if he stays up front, the 12 doesn't get there, then everybody else is just going to be trying to close into maybe a slow pace if he can set it.
I know it's time to go soon because my Halo light just went out for the first time in 300 some, 600 some shows. And I'm also looking for. Did I not type it in? Oh, we didn't give a pick 5. I'm so silly. I'm looking for. Wow, long week. Okay, I'm looking for our pick 5 tickets. We don't do that anymore, Pete.
No more.
Let's go to some best and just wrap up the show. How's that? Before I turn into
they got to buy our power picks now, Ryan, to get our pick
nonsense.
5s. They got to spend now to get the
there you go. Again, I apologize for the lighting, everyone. I'm a little dark here on the show. Pete, you're going your best bets. Here we go. Race 8, the number 5 to win. Pete's going to remind me of the names of all these horses. That's Soprano. And then you're going with the pick 3 in that race, 3, 5, 6 with 5, 11. With 1, 4, 5, so the last 3 races of the
no explanation. They just wanted to. I didn't love anything else, so I figured let's try and hit a nice pick 3, see if we can't get a price, or at least decent enough prices to bang it a few extra dollars and see what we can come up with.
Beautiful. Ryan's best bet. He is going also to race 8. It is a tri-key box.
My favorite bet, Ryan. Tri-key boxes. I love them.
You'll need to explain that for everyone. 9 with 3, 5, 10. Go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah, that's Grayosh with She Feels Pretty, Soprano, and Canadol. Oh, man, I already forgot that name. But
Kandala, the winner of the QE2.
Saturday. Yeah, we're second place. But I mentioned how I thought Grayosh was a big threat out of the Chad Brown barn with Flavien Prat on board. Gonna hit the board somewhere. I'm pretty confident in that. I mentioned she Feels Pretty got the best draw of the American horses that have the talent to win. And then the two Euro shippers obviously have the leg up. And then race 10, I mentioned how strong I feel about the number 6 there for Mark Cassie, War of Will going 2 turns. So
there you go.
I'm all in on that one.
I'm going Kandala, guys. I believe in this horse, and to be honest, it has nothing to do with the fact that I saw her run. I mean, whatever. I've seen a lot of horses run. I just like a lot of things about her. I'm getting a decent price. And the key for me is the first quarter mile. If she can break and if Drew can get her over, covered up, if she's within 4 or 5, even 6 lengths at the top of the stretch and can get in the clear, I think Kandala is going to show a really, really good kick. And I'm a big fan of hers on Saturday. And then the number 7, Ben Franklin in race 9, reverse tri-key. I'd put him in first, more in second, and probably a little bit in third. I'd probably weigh the most in second, which I know sounds a little strange to people, but I'm probably going to play an 11-7 straight exacta also in case the 11 is the goods. Guys, that pretty much wraps up the show. Pete, any final thoughts? Anything in your world you want to talk about this weekend? Breeders' Cup is 3 weeks away, boys. Really excited.
Yeah, it's getting close. I mean, I think that's the big conversation now. We'll start with the who's ready, who's coming, this and this. What are the fields going to look like? We all get excited for the draw, the overseas odds, all that kind of stuff. So that's going to probably dominate the next few weeks, and it should, because it's our favorite time of year.
Yep, and horses are getting cranked up. I even saw a little Nisos sighting.
Nisos
today.
is ready. Nisos, they might just run Nisos right in the Classic and just win it.
Ryan wants to say, Ryan, this horse not running Breeders' Cup weekend. Come on.
No, I'm not talking about Nisos. Another horse that I was more excited to see on the work tab this morning, 2 furlongs, about 24 seconds, was Eagle's Flight. The half-brother to Flightline was back on the work tab out at, I believe, Santa Anita. Yep. That horse I am excited to see come back because that horse looks the goods. For sure.
And of course, the best horse in the world is running Saturday at Santa Anita. Go ahead, Ryan. You know who that is. Even though he has not won a race yet, he's still all right. Forgot it. Miramati's running.
The announcer is the greatest. The horse will always be second best to something.
Great time to make some money Saturday at Santa Anita. Bet against Miramati. What race is that, Ryan? By the way.
Oh, That should be race,
later
I want to say
card.
6 or 7.
All right,
yeah,
later in the card.
Race 6 or 7. Going 2 turns for the first time since his 2-year-old season. So, maybe that's something. Maybe he'll, finish second by a head.
If you want to hear more about that race and the card, tune in to yesterday's Pacific Horse Player show with Ryan and Noah and Jackson. There you go. Isn't that?
Look at Pete.
I'm not even hosting today, and I just get the plug in there for you guys.
Pete was rating for Ryan, who's a little more the amateur at this point. No disrespect to plug his own show. Pete, he never did it.
No.
You got to do it for him.
He's too classy to do that. I'm a shill, so I'm a whore, so I just say I don't care. I'll throw it out there.
Well, then to take one step above you, Pete, if anybody wants to tune in about 6:15 Pacific time, me and Jackson are going to go over the early pick 5 for this Saturday card at Keeneland. We'll go live on YouTube. I know the Thursday night football game is on. Tune in if you want. But that game, you can watch it in the background. You can listen to me and Jackson give our picks on a great early pick 5 card.
Where do they find that, Ryan?
Sorry?
Where do they, again, we're filming this Thursday night for people that are listening to this as a replay. So if you're watching live, where is that again tonight, Thursday night?
Oh, that is going to be on my YouTube channel. That's at the Gallop Out on YouTube. Thank you. So not the Pacific Horse Players. That was me and Noah last night doing the late pick 5 at Santa Anita this Saturday on my channel, the Gallop Out. Me and Jackson for Get Bucked episode 7 doing the early pick 5 for Saturday.
There you go. Ryan, you've been a great addition to the show. Hope you're enjoying the HHH Racing podcast, and we hope to have you on for a long time and have fun with Jackson tonight. For my co-hosts, Pete Visco and Ryan Anderson, this has been your host, Howard Kravitz, episode 378 of Picks and Ponies. Very simply, crush your bets at Keeneland on Saturday. Take care, everyone. Have a great night. Bye-bye.
If you have not followed his Triple H Horse Racing podcast, you're missing out. It's one of the best podcasts in the country.